Good morning, Loudepot back again, and we're going to go over can't turn off the heat. And what I'm specifically talking about is you people with hot water oil-fired boilers or gas-fired boilers where the baseboard of the radiator keeps getting hot no matter what you do, and you got to wind up opening windows because you just can't take it anymore. And we're going to go over why that occurs and what you can do to find out what it is. There's 5 different things that causes it. And for you new homeowners, we're going to go over them one at a time. You people new to the field, and one at a time we're going to get through it until we rectify it. And the first one that I have listed, they're listed in order in the most common way it probably happens, is the thermostat. The thermostat turns on the heat. If the thermostat is all the way down and you still have heat, there's a few things you have to check for. One, the first thing you can do is remove the thermostat off the wall and separate the red wire out of the screw. Unscrew the screw and bend the red wire out of the way off the thermostat and just leave the thermostat hanging there by the rest of the wires. With that red wire gone, usually RH. If you have air conditioning, there might be a RH and a RC. You're really going to be concerned with the RH. RH standing for return line heat. Once that red wire is gone, if the thermostat is broken and is shorting itself out to give you heat when you don't want it, that's one way of solving the problem to see if it is the thermostat. The other way is a lot of thermostats now have batteries in them, and the batteries can die or get really low, and the thermostat could act a little crazy. So the thermostat would be the first thing to check. If you're unable to satisfy it and you still have heat, even though the thermostat is completely disconnected, the second thing you want to know is this. On your heating system, there is a circulator and a flow check valve. A lot of times you'll see them together, as long as the arrows are going the same way. They both have an arrow. As you can see, this arrow is going to the right, and this arrow is going down. So they could have the circulator aiming up and then the flow check aiming up. You may find it like this on your boiler. The old conventional way would be the circulator would be on the lower part of the boiler and the flow check would be on the feed. The way the heat works is it leaves the boiler, goes through a flow check valve, and returns to the circulator. Now what happens is water travels on its own. And you can get heat when you don't want it. Even without the pump running, the water can travel by gravity on its own and siphon around and give you heat because the boiler maintains hot water all the time so you can take a shower. That hot water travels, your baseboard or radiators are getting hot. So plumbers installed this flow check valve to stop that water from traveling on its own. The circulator is strong enough to pull it open when you turn on your thermostat, and you can get heat, but when the thermostat's off, this thing closes, it very lightly closes in such a way that water can't circulate on its own. Now, 2 things can happen with this. Somebody that doesn't know what they're doing can unscrew the top and open this flow check valve up and cause you to get heat when you don't want it. Well, you may have to just screw it back down again tight. Now, these come in different varieties and forms, but that's a flow check valve. The other thing is they go bad. And when they go bad, the water can bypass it even with the circulator pump off and the thermostat off, and you'll get heat. So the flow check valve is important. That's a common problem, and that's listed right here as number 3. But before that, you have to check on the thermostat and finding out that you still have heat after the thermostat's off the wall and the red wire is hanging by itself. There is one more thing to check, and that's for shorting the thermostat wire, because that happens a lot too, and I can show you. Somebody hanging a picture on the wall, that will turn on your heat. That screw going through that wire will turn on your heat every time, because all the thermostat does is touches the 2 wires together. That's all it does. And when you put a metal screw through it, whether you're hanging a picture or working in the house or anything, that can happen. Also, a lot of times the thermostat wire can have a short because somebody spliced onto it and added it and moved the thermostat somewhere else. And there's a splice in the wall where they wind up fraying and touching together. A good way to check that is follow the wire all the way down to the boiler. On the boiler, there's a gray controller box that has the two wires that go to T and T. Just loosen the screw and remove one of the wires. That eliminates this screw problem. If you have a short in the wire and it's turning on the heat, you eliminate the wire out of the controller, the relay on the thermostat on the boiler, and that will shut the heat off. And then you can sit and wait and see if that shuts the heat off. The other way you can check this, these thermostats, when there is a short or the thermostat is touching, the wires are touching for some reason or another, is the circulator pump on the boiler. If you have heat and you don't want it, you can simply remove the cover of the circulator pump. Usually it's green or Takeo, it could be red. And find the two wires in there that are attached to the wires that are feeding it. There'll be two wire nuts here that you got to remove. You can simply take an electrical tester from Home Depot, $5, and touch one prong to each wire. If you do that and this lights up 120 volts or 110, you're getting power to your circulator and you're going to have heat. So something with the thermostat or a short in the wire is normally causing that. It could be that the controller box that the thermostat is wired to. That would be the last option. That's rare. That usually doesn't happen. But between the thermostat and the wire, this is on. If you don't have juice here and the pump is not running, then there's a good chance to look back at this flow check. And there are a couple other ways, and we're going to go over them in the next stage.